recording, you can see the red dot at the top of the screen. So that means we are ready to go. So if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under threat of prosecution for perjury? If you do not do so, do you understand this and do you agree?
I do, and I do agree.
All right, thank you. And then Mr. Mullenbach, you will do your direct. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell your name for the record, please?
Sure. Name is Luis Bixler, Luisbixler.
And where do you currently work?
I'm currently the director for Dane County Public Safety Communications.
And how long have you worked there?
About 2.5 years now.
And where did you work prior to that?
I was the director of the monitoring center under Department of Community Corrections for the DOC.
And how long were you in that position?
I was in that position for 7 years. Okay.
And can you just start out by giving us a summary of what the Electronic Monitoring Center is and what it does, please?
Certainly. The Electronic Monitoring Center falls under the Sex Offender Registry. Primary mission of what we did there is one, tracking of sex offenders using various technology, GPS, as well as technologies for sobriety, such as sobriety maintenance devices. Secondary, we were the primary contact for law enforcement for all of the corrections, both the institutions as well as people on probation and parole. We issued warrants and canceled warrants, and it is the busiest time system terminal in the state. The time system being the interface between the criminal justice information computers and national crime information computers.
So you say you issue warrants. So does the Department of Corrections, or at least the Electronic Monitoring Center, have the ability to issue its own warrants?
They do. Very unique. I believe only one in the nation where warrants do not have to go through a judge. That's where agents as well as monitoring center are able to access notes and be able to issue and cancel those warrants without a judge. So it happens very quickly and very timely.
Okay, and we'll go into this in a little more detail later, but can you just give us a brief overview of how the Electronic Monitoring Center would be involved if an escape occurs at an institution such as, well, at any institution?
Certainly. So there's protocol within each one of the DAI institutions, or DAI in general. By those instructions or their policy, they have 30 minutes to contact us after confirmed escape, or contact the monitoring center after confirmed escape, so that the information can be entered into a DOC 58, and they can do one of two ways: either calling us or submitting the DOC 58 directly to, I keep saying us, I'm sorry, directly to the monitoring center, and then that's entered into the time system. The reason for entering it, the timeliness factor for entering it into the system is because any law enforcement representative or agent that comes into contact with one of an escapee or someone that is wanted by DOC, if there's no warrant in place, there's no reason or ability for that officer to hold the individual.
And you made reference to a DOC 58. Just very briefly, can you explain what that is?
Sure. A DOC 58 is a form that lists all the demographics of the individual, and it's a detention request for that individual. So the information on there is what's used to be put into the time system and into the actual warrant itself.
Okay. And I think you already answered this, but were you the director of the Electronic Monitoring Center on April 16th, 2020?
I was.
Okay. And do you recall that on that day, an escape at Columbia Correctional Institution occurred?
I do.
And when did you first learn about that escape?
On my way into the office, it was probably around the 6:45 a.m. mark. I received a text from my duty supervisor, Kelly Massey. She was calling me or notifying me of an escape from Colombia that she'd read about on Channel 3000 or one of the local media outfits, and said that the monitoring center had not been notified of the escape to enter a warrant at that point. She was seeking some guidance on what to do at that point.
You mean, so she said that they hadn't been notified by CCI?
Correct.
Okay. And you may have said this, but did she tell you how she learned about the escape?
Through media, I believe it was Channel 3000 or something like that.
Okay. And you did go over this a little bit, but I guess I'll just ask you again, maybe give a little more detail. And why is it important for an institution to notify the electronic monitoring center immediately after an escape?
So the importance of it is without that warrant or detention notice, there's no mechanism for officers to hold someone if they come into contact with them. And there's kind of a few different layers in that. Any information that we have that we can put into the warrant aids in the capture and the holding of that particular escapee. One, if they do come into contact with them and there is a warrant in place, then their center, their PSAP or Public Safety Answering Point terminal, then has to confirm the warrant with the agency, which is the monitoring center for DOC. And without having that, they are obligated to let that individual go. There's no reason to hold it. The other part of it is the officer safety aspect of it. If there's nothing out there when they run a license plate or come into contact with one of these individuals, then they have no way of knowing if this individual is dangerous, if they are an escape, especially from a prison or an institution, they typically are going to react in a way different than someone who is just a speeder.
So would the county sheriff's department that would may respond to an escape, would they have the ability, or do they put out their own warrants when an escape occurs?
No, they don't have the authority to do that. They would have to go through a judge and go through that process. So it's possible that they could do that, but it certainly wouldn't be done in a very timely manner.
Okay. Judge, if I could have you pull up, please, Respondents Exhibit 13. And this, I don't believe, has been admitted yet.
All right, it has not been admitted, so I'll mark it up now. All right, I'm marking Respondents Exhibit 13, pages 992 to 1011, memorandum to PIOX TR on March 13th. No, I got the wrong one. I went back to 14, which we already have marked as well. So let me get the right title for this. The right title is, okay. Sorry about that. DOC 58 for TD and JN on April 16th. Is that what you want?
Yes, it is, Judge.
Okay, let me change the title. All right, so that's 992 to 1011, and I've marked it. I have indicated that you're going to offer it. Are you going to have a problem with that exhibit? Do we need more information, Mr. Cross?
No, no, it does seem a little bit, I'm not sure if it's fully redacted, so we gotta be a little careful, but.
All right, thank you for the warning. Response, exhibit 13 is admitted. All right, now we will show the document. All right, we are on respondents exhibit 13, as you can see. And now we are going to make this bigger. All right, we are on page 993 of the document. Go ahead, Mr. Mullenbach.
Mr. Bixler, I'm not going to dwell on this document for very long, but do you recognize what this is?
I do.
What is it?
It is the DOC 58.
Okay. And have you seen this document before?
I have.
When did you see it?
I have seen, and I'm sorry, you mean this specific document or the form?
Well, I guess this specific one.
I can't recall if I've seen the specific one.
Okay, that's fine. Judge, if you could scroll down to page 998 for me, please.
All right, we're on page 998 of respondents exhibit 13. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Bixler, do you recognize what this document is?
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
This is an abstract of the time system entry that's made for the warrant that's broadcasted out, in this case, nationwide.
Okay, and I know the names are redacted here, obviously, but could you give us the initials of the individual that was the subject of this warrant?
Sure, NJ?
Okay, well, the N would be the last name, comma,
Oh.
first name, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so have you seen this before, this document?
I have.
And is this a true and accurate, and I don't think it's very long, so if you need the judge to scroll down, just let her know, but is this a true and accurate copy of the document you've previously seen?
This is.
Okay, and on this document, does it indicate what time the warrant was entered into the time system?
It does.
And could you just, I don't know if you can tell from where you're at, where the judge is at right now, but based on the screenshot as it sits right now, do you know what time that was?
It was 7:58 a.m. on April 16th, 2020.
Okay. And so I think you earlier made reference to the time system. I made reference to the time system in my last question. What is the time system?
The time system is, for Wisconsin, it's the interface that is able to access the NCIC, which is National Crime Information Center, as well as, NCIC and CIB, which is the Wisconsin's Crime Information Bureau, databases, which then broadcasts or puts out information to officers and that have access to the time system, NCIC and CIB.
So that system is what broadcasts to law enforcement nationwide that a warrant has been entered for a particular individual. Does that sound accurate?
Correct. Nationwide as well as actually internationally if it's run through Interpol.
Okay. Judge, if you could scroll down to page 1009 for me, please.
All right, we're on respondent to exhibit 13. Page, excuse me, 1000 and, excuse me, sorry, 1009.
And I don't know, based on what you're looking at right now, Mr. Bixler, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
This is a broadcast that's put out, or basically what's more commonly known as a BOLO, be on the lookout, or an APB, all points bulletin, for state and these particular can go out to a state, a region, nationwide once a warrant's been entered to be on the lookout for a specific item. So this is typically what police departments use in their briefings, things like that, to really get the information out, and they access it via not just the time system, but also via WileyNet.
Okay.
Also via, what did you say?
WileyNet, it's the Wisconsin law enforcement net, or basically an access system for agencies that subscribe directly to it who may not have access to the time system.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just check my notes here real quick. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that the process in the monitoring center is once the warrant's entered, particularly if it's a felony, that these go out along with them, so that it's basically the warrant that's entered. Officers aren't going to have access to it or knowledge of it unless they specifically run the individual. That's why these APBs are sent out along with it, to be able to give that broad announcement to all law enforcement.
Okay. And I'm looking at this document. I just noticed, unfortunately, Judge, that the PIOC's name is not entirely redacted. But Mr. Bixler, can you just give the initials of the individual who this relates to?
This one relates to initials TD.
Okay. And Judge, if you could pull up Exhibit 1 for me, please.